The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
We have hockey news. It has happened. There's hockey news in the world today. Even though all of the insiders are somewhere in Northern Ontario at their cottages, on their docks, sipping a beer, we still have hockey news. And the LA Kings have made a transaction today, signing 21-year-old Quinton Byfield to a 5-year contract worth $6.25 million per season. And in this episode, this podcast, this video, this audio, however you consume it, we will break down why this makes sense for the Kings, why it makes sense for Byfield, and the compromises both sides made to make this work for both sides. So let's get into it. Let's start with the Kings. First of all, their window to be competitive, to win, is right now. They had years of a downturn after their mid-2000s runs, and they got a cup out of it, and they were very competitive. Then they took a bit of a downturn, and in that downturn, they got a number 2 overall pick named Quinton Byfield, and he has been a part of their upturn in their franchise. And now the LA Kings have 3 straight years consecutively lost in the first round of the playoffs. But it is time to win. It is time to get past that point if you are the Kings organization and if you are a Kings fan. So now is the window for the Kings to be competitive and to win. And during this window here, now they will have a 21-year-old who projects to be a lot better than he is now at 21, because that is what 21-year-olds do in the NHL. They get better, locked up for only $6.25 million. That is why this makes so much sense for the LA Kings. You have a projected first liner who put up 20 goals last season in 80 games with 35 assists. That is 55 points. In his previous year, in the 22-23 season, 53 games, 3 goals, 19 assists. So last season, as you can see by the stats, and if you followed along with the NHL and all of the storylines, was Byfield's real breakout season, and it accompanied him playing on the right wing and being very successful there. So Quinton Byfield, his breakout year, you get a 21-year-old who is 6'5", might one day be a giant goal scorer, a giant point getter. I could see Byfield one day putting up 30 to 40 goals, 60 to 65 assists, and putting up 90 to 100 points one day. And he could do that within the length of this contract. You have him from age 21 to 26. It's a 5-year deal that starts this season because he's an RFA and he needed a new deal. This isn't like an extension where he was on his ELC or anything and then it kicks in next year. No, it starts this upcoming season. So for the Kings, you get that financial freedom of having one of your best players in your lineup locked up for only $6.25 million. That is a hell of a deal for the LA Kings. Now let's go over to Quinton Byfield and why he should do this. 1, security. He should 100% do this for security. And the other reason he should do it is because he's going to have the freedom at the end of this. You get the security and the freedom because, as I said, he will be 26 at the end of this contract. So that means he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So when Quinton Byfield plays through the length of this contract and it's like, oh man, he took a discount of $6.25 million. What a steal for the Kings. Byfield's sitting there being like, I'm making so little money, but I get my true freedom, which is free agency, being an unrestricted free agent in the NHL at age 26, which is unheard of. Usually teams lock up these young players for 8 years, but he got the Kings to only lock him up for 5 years. So that's why he compromises on this money. If he lives up to his potential, the potential I just talked about, Quinton Byfield at the end of this contract is going to be due one of the biggest paydays at the time for an NHL player, because it is so rare that you come up in free agency at the age of 26. Teams don't allow this. They lock up guys or they pay it ahead of time. They lock up their young stars so they do not get to free agency at that young age, because that is where the hefty contracts are paid out. And for the Kings, they don't care because they get 5 years of this financial freedom of a very good player. Quinton Byfield gets his first mega contract ever. $6.25 million is a lot of money for 5 years, and he's comfy and he's happy. And now he is on his ultimate prove it deal. I get a giant double-digit figure at the end of this thing, and I get to go to whatever team I want, if I so choose, at the end of this, in the middle age, in the prime of my career. Both sides here as you can tell by what we just outlined here, have compromised. They have given up something on the end. Quinton Byfield has given up money for the freedom to be a free agent and for the prove it deal. The LA Kings have given up the security of having Quinton Byfield for more than 5 years, but they have gained the freedom on the salary cap. This is a wonderful deal for both sides, and it is a rare deal in the National Hockey League. We do not see these mid-tier bridge deals. What we usually see in the National Hockey League is 2-year bridges or 3-year bridges, or even like a 1-year bridge to get them just to the next RFA year or whatever it is. A 4-year deal, get them to another RFA deal. So it's within that RFA window. We rarely see a mid-tier bridge of 5 years that carries a young player to UFA. This is truly a unique signing. And I think that's fascinating. And it's cool to see that Rob Blake got creative with this so that the competitive window for the Kings here is as open as possible, because in a salary cap league, you need the freedom under the salary cap to maneuver with your roster, Toronto Maple Leafs. So with that being said, the salary cap is only going up, and this deal will only look better throughout the length of the contract for the Kings. And because the salary cap is only going up, at the end of this, Quinton Byfield will only make more money if he lives up to his potential. So that's kind of what I have to say on this deal. I think it's fantastic for both sides. I haven't been entirely positive about the Kings' moves they've made this offseason. If you've been following along with the episodes I've been making, you know that by now. But I am super positive on this one. So thumbs up to Rob Blake and the Kings for inking this deal. This is a fantastic one for me. Let me know what you think in the comments on Twitter, wherever you interact with the show. Let me know what you think, and hit subscribe on the Jesse Blake Sports Report YouTube channel. Give this 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. Like this video if you liked it. That's it. Let's see if more hockey news breaks. That was fun. We got to talk hockey again. It feels like we're back in the swing of things, but it's July, so we may go weeks without any transaction of note. We will see. All right, that's it. That's it for me. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world because you're watching or listening to this right now, and I appreciate you for that. Good night from Toronto.
And that is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.